Your food travels on a journey from the farm to your fork. The direction of this journey is changing through innovative research and development. This is Teagasc Ashtown Research Centre, and we'd like to show you some of those new developments. Welcome to A Taste of the Future. The journey of many foods starts with plants, but if they get sick, who do you call?
It looks serious.
Very serious.
So, just like people, plants get sick too. My name is Brian McGuinness and I'm a plant pathologist with Teagasc at the Ashtown Research Centre. Plants get the same types of diseases as people, like viruses, fungal infections and even bacterial infections. A grower is in a constant battle with these diseases, and if left unchecked, they could lose their entire crop. In the Ashtown Plant Clinic, we get hundreds of samples every single year. And just like medical doctors, we try to diagnose these diseases. Once we know what the problem is, we know how to treat the problem. The biggest industry in horticulture in Ireland is the mushroom industry. Let me show you how we grow them. Welcome to the Ashtown Mushroom Research Unit. Firstly, let's dispel some myths. Mushrooms don't have to be grown in the dark. They can be grown in the light or the dark. They don't care. Fungi don't have chlorophyll like plants, so they get their nutrition from soil or compost. In commercial industry, small grains of rye are coated with mycelium, and these grains of rye are mixed with the compost and allowed to grow through the compost at warm temperatures. We layer a moisture-rich peat over the compost, and after about a week at warm temperatures, we drop the temperature, fooling the fungus into thinking that it's autumn. The fungus then produces the mushroom, which are picked by hand. Mushrooms are highly nutritious foods. They contain just as much minerals and vitamins as many common vegetables like spinach, broccoli or carrots. Our tastes are changing, and we're looking to the future by trying new exotic species of mushrooms, not just the white button mushroom that you commonly find in the shops. Next time you're in the shops, keep an eye out for mushrooms like shiitake or oyster mushroom, and don't be afraid to give them a try. You might actually be surprised at how good they taste.
For the next part of our journey, we take to the air and look at the crucial role that insects play in the story of our food.
It is estimated that there are 10 quintillion, which is 10 with 18 zeros, or a million trillion insects on planet Earth. Over 80% of the animal species described are insects, and it is arguable that they are the most important class of animal on the planet. We all know that insects such as bees, moths, beetles pollinate some plants, but they're also critical to breaking down organic matter and recycling that into the environment, while also providing a food source for many other species. However, some insects want to eat the same crops that we want to eat. My name is Michael Gaffney and I'm an entomologist with Teagasc here at the Ashtown Food Research Centre. An entomologist is somebody who studies insects, and my job is to study insects and learn how they behave. So, by better understanding their behaviour, we can design ways of protecting our crops while also protecting the millions and millions of insects which do no damage to our food crops. Insects can damage our crops in many ways. They can transmit plant viruses they carry in their saliva. The larvae of some moths can strip all the leaves from a cabbage plant in only a few days, while some insects can eat the roots of plants, causing them to wither and die. So, in order to better control insects, we need to better understand their behaviour, when they arrive into crops, but also to better understand when beneficial species, which predate or parasitise pests, are active. We're also learning that we can use beneficial species in protecting our crops, such as using insect-killing nematodes and fungi to replace more traditional pesticides. To better understand their behaviour, we use various trapping techniques. Some are based on sticky traps using different colours, some are based on pheromones, which are smells that insects are attracted to, and some, such as this suction tower, which directly sample flying insects from the air. Towers such as this can be adjusted to different heights to sample for different insects, but we're particularly interested in pests like aphids, which fly in and out of crops, carrying different plant viruses in their saliva, feeding and multiplying rapidly into huge populations. So, by better understanding insect behaviour, we can better protect the trillions and trillions of insects we depend upon to keep our ecosystem healthy and our food production systems functioning.
As you just saw, insects can be a serious problem for the food industry, but they can also be a solution for two big problems in our society: how to feed an increasing global population and how to make a better use of our resources. Hi, my name is Carlos Alvarez. I'm a research officer working here in Ashtown, Teagasc, in the Department of Food Quality and Sensory Science. As you all know, the global population is increasing and we need to provide proteins for all of us. Also, as you might know as well, the food waste is increasing and increasing over time. We can start to solve these big problems with help of these small protein factories. They can be fed with the food that we don't want, or is just not okay for us to eat. Once they are ready to be harvested, insect contains all the essential amino acids we need in our diet, and also have a high protein content. They can be processed like any other type of food. In spite of the benefits of using insects as a food, in Europe it is still very much in its infancy. Would you like to have a roasted cricket snack when watching a movie? Probably not. However, more than 2 billion people already have insects on their diets on a regular basis. Some cultures even consider them as a delicacy for special occasions. In our project, we're fully aware about this jack factor, and we're working on different solutions to overcome it. Our goal is to use insect proteins as ingredients in different products that might appeal to the European consumer. That could be burgers, snacks, or protein bars. After all, your body doesn't care where the proteins come from, so why should you?
You probably think seaweed, or algae as scientists call it, is just that slimy stuff washed up on the beach. But there are well-documented health benefits to algae, so our researchers are investigating new possible uses for these primitive plants in our food.
The majority of life on Earth is aquatic, and marine species outnumber those on land. In fact, an incredible 94% of the Earth's living species exist within the oceans. These species are largely underexplored as a source of food. Hi, my name is McCrea Hayes, and I'm a natural products chemist here at the Food Biosciences Department, Teagasc, Ashtown. Seaweeds and tiny relatives, known as microalgae, are rich in everyday nutrients, including proteins, fats, carbohydrates and fibre. We need these in our diet to remain healthy and happy. We look at measuring these nutrients and making them into everyday foods like breads, pastas, dairies and snacks to help feed the growing global population. Marine resources have additional benefits, however. Due to the harsh conditions of the marine environment in which seaweeds and microalgae grow, they have developed specific defence mechanisms to stay healthy. These differ from those of plants and animals found on land. As a natural products chemist, I look at developing methods to extract these molecules and deliver them to people and animals to increase the health benefits of our foods and feeds. Molecules that we have identified here already can add heart health benefits to food and can help prevent diseases such as diabetes and obesity. One example of marine molecules that can be used in food are fluorotannins. These molecules are found only in brown seaweeds, like the ones you see on the beaches of Ireland. The extraction of these tannins is straightforward. This purified extract can be used to prevent the growth of bad bacteria and ensure food safety. Fluorotannins can also reduce high blood pressure. In animals, they can help prevent infection with fluke and worms, particularly in cattle. We are also looking at seaweed molecules to help reduce methane emissions from cows, sheep and cattle. This is really important for Irish agricultural production, as it will help to protect our environment from harmful greenhouse gas emissions.
Our food story now moves from your plate to your mouth as we ask, how do we taste our food? The answer isn't as easy as you might think.
You might know that we all have 5 senses, but did you know that we unconsciously use all of those senses when we eat or drink? My name is Carol Griffin, and I work here in Teagasc Food Research Centre, Ashtown, in sensory analysis. Sensory analysis is used to capture and interpret how people respond to food and drink. Most people think it's just the taste or flavour of foods that we're judging, but we really are actually using all of our senses. How a food looks will help us decide if we want to try it. It can give us clues as to what we're actually likely to experience when we do eat the food. For example, we expect a yellow ice cream to taste lemony. Sounds like the fizz when opening a soft drink or the snap of a biscuit tell us they're likely to be fresh and lovely to eat, even before we put them into our mouths. The texture and shape of food are also really important. When the shape of some chocolate bars were changed a few years ago, loyal customers thought the company had changed the recipe. The chocolate actually melted differently because of the new shape, which most likely gave a slightly different flavour. We can use sensory analysis to help food businesses to develop successful product in 2 very different ways. The first is by recruiting regular consumers of the product to taste the different foods or drinks and give their opinion of how much they like the products, which do they prefer, would they buy them, those kind of questions. Trained panels are also used to help companies to develop or redesign food and drink, and these people have been tested to make sure that they have really good senses of smell, taste and flavour recognition. And then they're trained even further to be really good at describing and evaluating all kinds of foods. Would you like to work as a chocolate or a steak taster? Or maybe try those mealworms that Carla showed us earlier? Might be in the future for all of us.
We get a lot of mixed messages about what we should eat, but the health of our bodies and the health of our planet depends on all of us making better choices. To finish our story, let's find out how to aim for a diet that's nutritious, healthy and sustainable.
Can our planet and our bodies become healthier by making the right food choices? Yes, but it requires a balance of both healthy and sustainable food choices. I'm Dr. Sinead McCarthy, a nutritionist from the Teagasc Food Research Centre in Ashtown, Dublin, and today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about sustainable diets. We're all very familiar with the food pyramid and which foods we should eat lots of, such as fruit and vegetables at the bottom of the food pyramid, and which foods we should limit, like the treats at the top of the food pyramid. These recommendations from the food pyramid guide us as a population on how to make healthy food choices. And these healthy food choices prevents us from developing illnesses associated with a poor diet, such as heart disease. However, not only do we need to make these food choices for our personal health, but now we also need to make these food choices for the health of our planet as well. We can do this using the carbon footprint. So, what is the carbon footprint of a food and how do we calculate it? A food's carbon footprint is the greenhouse gas emissions associated from growing, rearing, farming, processing, transporting, storing, cooking and disposing of the food we eat, every single aspect of food production. So, we calculate the carbon cost of every one of these stages of the food production and create a total carbon cost of the foods per kilogram. Sustainable diets can be hard to define because not all healthy foods have a low carbon footprint and not all foods with a high carbon footprint are necessarily unhealthy. So, let's try a little experiment together and see if you can pick a meal that is healthy and sustainable. I'm going to present you with a menu option and pick your favourite foods or the foods you might think have the lowest carbon footprint or a combination of health and carbon footprint. Here are your choices. For your beverage, you can have either a glass of milk or a glass of cola. For your main meal, choose either a cheese pizza or bolognese, and then for a snack, choose either cheese or chocolate. So, have you made your food choices? Are you happy with the choice you made? Let's take a look at the carbon footprint and the calories of some of these options. If you followed the recommendations on the food pyramid and chose milk, bolognese and cheese, you'll have a carbon footprint of 4.8 kilos of CO2 for this meal, and you'll also have consumed 769 calories. If you reached more so for the top shelf of the food pyramid and chose cola, pizza and chocolate, the meal will amount to a carbon footprint of 1.8 kilos of CO2, and for this meal you'll have consumed 876 calories. So, this is where it gets a little bit complicated, because one option has a lower carbon footprint while the other option has higher calories. If we choose the milk, bolognese and cheese option, then we generate a higher carbon footprint but we consume less calories. The cola, pizza and chocolate option will have nearly 3 kilos less of carbon, but we also consume over 100 calories more with this option. Now, we all enjoy our treats from time to time, but the average person would need to walk for nearly 30 minutes to burn off the extra 100 calories if we choose the cola, pizza and chocolate option. So, can we make food choices that are both healthy and sustainable and make them a little bit easier to achieve? And what if I told you that being more sustainable could actually save you some money in the long run? Well, there are some small changes we can easily make every day that'll have a big impact on our pocket, on our planet and on our personal health. Planning is a good place to start. If you decide ahead of time the meals you plan to make over the week, think about healthy and sustainable options and then make a shopping list. It's a really good start. With a shopping list in our hand or on a phone app, we're less likely to make impulsive food choices. This will also help us save a little bit of money when we're at the supermarket. We must try much harder to reduce our food waste. Who's guilty of buying foods that end up going out of date, never eaten and ultimately into the bin? On average, approximately 1/3 of our food ends up as waste. Think about all the energy and cost gone into every stage of producing that food and it never gets used. Again, our meal planning and shopping list will help us to minimise the waste. That way, we don't waste our money on food waste either. Let's talk leftovers. They don't have to go in the bin either. Think of useful ways to use them up as snacks for later or part of a meal for tomorrow. It can save you having to cook again. But make sure to store them safely in your fridge to eat at a later time. One more thing to think about is eating in season and locally sourced food when possible. These foods will have a lower carbon footprint as well as many other benefits. With careful planning and active thought given to the foods you buy and you eat, you can end up healthier, wealthier and more sustainable. Now, what is there not to like about that?